बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, अदरीस मलिक करंट लाइन स्पोर्ट्स गुरु थर्ड अंपायर के साथ हाजिर खिदमत है। हम आपसे बात करेंगे पहले सेमीफाइनल की। आईसीसी T20 वर्ल्ड कप का पहला सेमीफाइनल जिसमें इंग्लैंड और न्यूजीलैंड आमने सामने होंगे। इंग्लैंड और न्यूजीलैंड का मुकाबला नॉकआउट राउंड्स का मुकाबला है और इस मुकाबले के लिए 4 साल पहले भी ये टीमें आमने सामने थी, लेकिन उस वक्त टूर्नामेंट मुख्तलिफ था। लेकिन अब टूर्नामेंट बहुत मुख्तलिफ है और आईसीसी टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप की चैंपियन टीम न्यूजीलैंड ने फेस करना है आईसीसी वनडे वर्ल्ड कप की चैंपियन टीम इंग्लैंड को। क्या होना है उन दोनों के दरमियान, इस पर दोनों कप्तान क्या कहते हैं। मैंने इयन मॉर्गन से पूछा था कि कल की प्लानिंग में क्या होगा। टीम सऊदी को, ट्रेंट बोल्ट को, उन्होंने जो न्यूजीलैंड की बॉलिंग है उसके लिए क्या तैयारी कर रखी है। सबसे पहले हम आपको वो बात सुनवाते हैं कि इयन मॉर्गन का आंसर क्या था।
Staff and head coach who create an environment where young players can come in and thrive. It's a great culture to be able to come in and both learn and thrive at the same time, and it seemed to work for us for some time. And we've always talked about having a strength and depth within our squads as a whole, and there've been some instances where we've had to put out replacing teams, but I think in doing so you could have 30 or 40 players within your domestic setup that could play international cricket or have the ability to do so. But if the right environment isn't set up, it doesn't matter what 11 you pick, you're not going to perform as an inexperienced player. You're going to have to go with experienced players the whole
time. Okay. Can I ask a follow-up?
We're short on time because we've got training to go to. So
no problem. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Hi, and this is Adris Malik from Frontline. Actually, you people are doing well in this World Cup and on the knockout round. And do you think there is something discussion about the New Zealand bowling in the dressing room that you have to do something special for that? And my second part for the question is, what do you think about the Pakistan performances, and you are looking something as a final in contestant?
I think New Zealand as a whole are a very strong team. It's probably one of their strongest points. They work well together. They never rely solely on one or two players. It's always a very collective effort. And I haven't watched any of the Pakistan games yet, so I can't comment. And last question, just one question from Matt Roller, please.
Hi, Owen. Just to pick up on what you were saying earlier about determining the balance of the side, is there a chance you replace Jason with one of the bowling all-rounders rather than a specialist batter? And could you expand a bit on what that decision would come down to?
Yeah, I suppose replacing him with another bowler would mean that you have 28 genuine overs on the field and, a lot of options. If you were to go with a batter, it would mean like a like-for-like replacement. So when we turn up and look at the wicket, depending if it's a really good batting wicket, only predicting if it's going to be a really good batting wicket, you might need the extra bit of bowling. And if it's not, you might need the extra bit of batting.
Thanks.
इयन मॉर्गन की गुफ्तगू आपने सुनी। देखिए, केन विलियमसन जो है वो भी अपनी तरफ से बहुत ज़्यादा मोटिवेटेड है। उनको लगता है कि जो इंग्लैंड की टीम है उसमें जो तब्दीली आई है, जैसन राय बाहर गए हैं, जो लाइव लिविंगस्टोन है उनके ऊपर भी कुछ क्वेश्चन जो हैं वो हुए हैं केन विलियमसन से, और उन्होंने उनके आंसर्स भी दिए हैं। केन विलियमसन जो है काफ़ी पुरइत्माद है। उनका जो कहना है कि जो भी पीछे हुआ नॉकआउट राउंड्स में, जो कुछ भी हुआ, अब ये बहुत मुख्तलिफ टीम है और न्यूजीलैंड की ग्रिप इतनी कमजोर नहीं है जितनी समझी जा रही है। हम इस मैच को एक अच्छा मैच देख रहे हैं और मुकाबला भी भरपूर करेंगे। केन विलियमसन की गुफ्तगू भी सुनिए।
And a skill set and a fantastic head on his shoulders, so he has made those adjustments really quickly and come over to the UAE, which is his first time, and played some really key roles for us. And Daryl, who's been involved in a number of formats and has brought a brilliant attitude. And I suppose coming into the tournament, everybody's preparation was perhaps a little bit disjointed, and Daryl's earned himself an opportunity at the top of the order, with his ability to hit the ball hard and straight, and also play spin, and he's come into the side and basically grabbed every opportunity in any format with both hands, and him and Gapdil at the top of the order have been getting us off to some really nice starts.
And lastly, from me, you're someone who sort of relishes hitting a lot of balls in the nets, but your elbow has sort of limited your training at the net. So how do you sort of find that balance on the front between sort of limiting yourself at training and keeping yourself fresh for the game?
Yeah, that has been a bit of a challenge for me personally, and the balance between the loading of the elbow and things like that to try and stay as fresh as possible for the game. So it's been a bit of a delicate balance to get my head around, and I certainly look forward to the day that it's gone and I don't have to worry too much about it. But as it stands, it's it's a topic of discussion, and just trying to work closely with the physio to make sure that in the games you're as fresh as possible. But it's had an impact in loading, which therefore means training's sort of been a little bit a lot less, to be fair.
Hi, Kane. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your opponents. Obviously, a team that you know so well, played a lot of cricket against them in recent times. At the start of England's kind of white ball success, they really suggested that they took a leaf out of New Zealand's book in the way that you played your white ball cricket under Brendan and in 2015. Since then, obviously, they beat you in the semi-final of the 2016-2020 World Cup and the 2019 World Cup final. Do you kind of feel like now's your time, and do you kind of feel like if they've copied your template, now's the time for the Masters to show what it's all about?
Look, I mean, we've played each other a number of times. We've had some really, really good games and really good series, and the evolution of the England side, and particularly the white ball sides, been significant over a number of years, and they've got a lot of experienced T20 players in their side, and as a collective are playing some really good cricket. So we know it's a nice challenge that we're looking forward to, and both teams try and utilize what they have to the best of their ability, and try and play their best cricket. So I mean, you turn up on the day, and as we know, particularly in this format, it's very fickle in its nature, and both teams will go out and look to put their best foot forward, and what will be at the end of it. But for us, it has been a real growth focus, although it was, like I mentioned, slightly disjointed in preparation at the start. It's sort of been one game at a time, and trying to adapt and make those small improvements throughout the competition as quickly as we could. And it meant that the team had been ticking over reasonably nicely, and watching from afar, England have been doing something very similar and been playing some really good cricket. So it should be a really good contest come tomorrow.
And just finally from me, as I said, I know you know each other very well, and I think there's probably going to be 6 on each side that played in the 2019 final, for example. But what about the guys that maybe you don't know so well? Someone like a Liam Livingstone, do you know much about him and what he might bring to the party, and how are you going to prepare for that threat?
Yeah, I mean, look, they've got match winners throughout their team, and that's been a big, I suppose, movement of their white ball side. They're sort of power packed and bat quite deep as well. And I spent a little bit of time with Liam at the Birmingham Phoenix, and he played superbly well throughout that whole 100 ball competition. So
आपने केन विलियमसन की गुफ्तगू सुनी, इयन मॉर्गन की गुफ्तगू सुनी। हम आपको थोड़ा सा अबू धाबी की पिच के बारे में आपको इन्फॉर्म करने की कोशिश करते हैं। जो अबू धाबी की पिच होगी, उसने थोड़ा सा जो फर्स्ट बैटिंग करने वाली टीम है, एज पर रिकॉर्ड्स उसने उसको सपोर्ट करना है। अजी डेफिनेटली आपके जहन में फौरन बात आ गई होगी मोहन सिंह की, जो कि फौत हो गए हैं, और वो वही क्यूरेटर हैं जिन्होंने इस पिच को वर्ल्ड T20 के लिए तैयार किया, और इस क्यूरेटर ने पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट बोर्ड के लिए भी बड़ी खिदमत अंजाम दी। मैंने इसलिए जिक्र किया है कि पाकिस्तान का जो पिछले 8 से 10 साल तक होम ग्राउंड रहा है अबू धाबी, दुबई और शारजा, तो अबू धाबी की विकेट के लिए ये क्यूरेटर जो है इन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा काम किया था। खैर एनीहो, हम तो उस पर कुछ भी नहीं कह सकते अभी, क्योंकि पुलिस उस पर इन्वेस्टिगेशंस कर रही है। अगर कोई फाइंडिंग आएंगी तो हम आपके साथ जरूर शेयर करेंगे, लेकिन हम आपको ये बता देते हैं कि मुकाबला कड़ा होगा, बहुत सख्त मुकाबला होगा न्यूजीलैंड और इंग्लैंड के दरमियान। लेकिन इस प्रोग्राम के बाद अगले प्रोग्राम में हमने ना सिर्फ दुबई क्रिकेट स्टेडियम की पिच पर रिपोर्ट करना है, बल्कि हमने आपको बाबर आजम की वो गुफ्तगू सुनानी जिसमें वो प्रेपरेशन पर बात करेंगे। और साथ साथ हम आपके लिए पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट टीम के ऑस्ट्रेलियन बैटिंग कंसल्टेंट मैथ्यू जो है उनका, मैथ्यू हाइडन का इंटरव्यू भी लेकर आएंगे। वो क्या कहते हैं उस पर भी गुफ्तगू होगी, और उनके ख्यालात क्या हैं, और कैसे ऑस्ट्रेलिया की टीम को जो कि पाकिस्तान का दौरा भी अनाउंस कर चुकी है 24 साल बाद, इस पर भी गुफ्तगू करेंगे। इंग्लैंड क्रिकेट बोर्ड के जो सरबराहान हैं, चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑफिसर हैं, वो पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट के दौरे पर है, लाहौर में भी से मुलाकात हुई है। अगले प्रोग्राम में इन सारी चीजों पर गुफ्तगू करेंगे। अभी आप अदरीस मलिक को इजाजत दीजिए, लेकिन जाने से पहले आपको पता आपने क्या करना है। आपने करंट लाइन को सब्सक्राइब करना है, आपने ट्विटर पर, फेसबुक पर और इंस्टाग्राम पर करंट लाइन को फॉलो करना है। अदरीस मलिक को आपने फेसबुक, ट्विटर और इंस्टाग्राम पर फॉलो करना है। आपकी सजेशन का इंतजार रहेगा। हमारा कम्युनिटी पेज जो है वो यूट्यूब पर ऑन है और आप उस पर भी हमें अपने कमेंट्स दे सकते हैं। अदरीस मलिक की जानब से आज के करंट लाइन स्पोर्ट्स गुरु थर्ड अंपायर में इतना कुछ ही। इजाजत दीजिए, अल्लाह हाफिज।